Hello and welcome back. I'm Lincoln. This is part 4 in the series for the jack-o'-lantern here. This is the time lapse showing you how I finished mine. You guys feel free to change it up however you want for yours. There's going to be a link up here showing you how to get to the playlist for all the videos for this series. And at the end of the video, I'll have a link to the very first one so you can get started over if you need to. Alright, let's grab your iPad and let's get sculpting. So here you can see that I had gone back quite a ways in the queue there and changed it to where it was basically just the face again without the teeth. I wanted to put all the same needle teeth back in there. So here you can see that as I'm pulling teeth, I turn the mesh so I can make sure that they're oriented how I want. And here I've got the move brush. I'm just kind of adjusting a little bit, and I'll adjust it a lot more here in a few minutes, but just kind of getting it where I want it. So here I'm changing the mesh count and adjusting the mesh, and you can see that even with it sped up, it took a while because there's so much mesh. And that's the thing about it though, you want to do that kind of mesh at first just to put it all back together, and then when you're done you can always bring the resolution back down when you're finished. But once you get to this point, you're going to want to start sculpting on it anyway. So here I've got the inflate tool and I'm just kind of bouncing around, giving it a little shape and form. And then I grab the flatten tool here, and I'm just knocking down the sharp edges around the eyes, and I'll go around the mouth too. Just makes it a little better. I mean, it's not going to look natural if it's just hard straight edges. So knock all those corners down. So I just work all the way around the mouth here. And I'll grab the smooth tool and just kind of knock down the hard edges too a little bit here and there. And the paint, I put that paint on there just so it makes it a little bit easier to see what I was doing. The gray was kind of hard to see. And here with using the move tool, you can actually really get those eyes looking a little more nasty. And I thought the nose looked a little weird, so adding a little more depth to it. And really at this point, it's just kind of moving things around till you like it. But this is where I actually got mine. I'd open up the mouth and got it nice and big. And you notice I curled the corners of the mouth just a little bit more. And here it took me a second to decide what I wanted to do. I couldn't decide if I wanted the gums to stick up, if I wanted to go down. And I eventually ended up using the layer brush, I think, and going in. And we'll see here in just a second, but still playing with the paint. And I decided to go ahead and just paint the teeth. So, you know, I've got this skip through really quick, and there are much easier ways to do this, but I just wanted to kind of do something really fast anyway, either way. And I don't normally like making the paint perfect on this, especially on a digital sculpt like this. It's more fun just to get a little crazy with it. And you can see how I'm turning the face so I can get in there a little bit, and it's getting paint in the back. I could have masked all that off, but it's almost easier just to do this. The cool thing with the paint tool, as you saw there, you know, you can drag, if you put your finger on the canvas and drag it over a color, it'll show you a little ball telling you which color you're picking off of your object. So it's kind of nice. I actually like doing that because it's like you can get a nice mixed color in between two colors if you're painting something a little bit transparent. If that white had been a little more transparent, you could have got a little more of a light orange in there and kind of changed the teeth a little bit faster. So here I'm being really messy with the paint, but it doesn't really matter. You're not going to turn it up that way anyway. So I sampled the paint color again and took care of all the over paint and inside the mouth, which even that really wouldn't matter. I'm just kind of trying to keep it tidy, but in the end I'm going to paint that inside anyway with a bright yellow, so it doesn't really matter too much if you're doing it right now or not. So I'm just going around cleaning up the teeth. Now I'm still playing around still haven't figured out what I want to do, and I'm gonna back tap through all this and go back to going to like a cut in instead of an out. And I even was playing with different fall off and settings. I just didn't like it, so I thought it looked better going the other way actually. So here, this is when I finally turned it on sub and started cutting into it and liked it way better. There, now after I've cut in, now I start building up the gums again, and I'll come in with a smooth brush in a minute and kind of knock down all those high spots and the sharp edges, and makes it look a lot better. So here you can see just knocking it down with a smooth brush looks pretty good. And I'm just going through with the flatten, kind of knocking stuff down I don't like. And here I sample the paint again and just going around and doing a little touch up on the teeth. And I'll go back again with around the gums and do another one. And if you really wanted to make this more realistic, I could have gone through with a lighter orange around the teeth, you know, past the skin, and made the skin a little bit darker orange. It's, like I said, it was just a real quick paint, just kind of show you how to do this, because I ended up doing a lot of paint on some of the objects just to show them on the thumbnails for the videos, but I don't actually show you guys how to do this at all, so I figured I'd probably do a little bit on this one. So this one turned out really cool. I may end up having to print this on my 3D printer and see how this turns out. A little small one. I want to make a Halloween village anyway, so this would be a nice little addition for that. So here I've got the move tool again, set, you know, about half the size, and just kind of knocking it down, and then grab the inflate tool, and I'm going to start giving this thing some real shape now and give it some real character. You can see here, I'm kind of doing a thing matching the eyebrows with the mouth, giving it kind of a curl on the eyebrows, shaping them a little bit more. I thought that looked pretty cool with the, you know, making those match just a little bit. Just kind of going around, working it. And now I'm starting to give the impression of the, I don't know what you call it, just the individual parts and the lines on the pumpkins. Here it's a little more, you know, giving a little more vein almost. But you use the inflate tool, and this is kind of cool. I'm using just a basic alpha, nothing. I think I'm using just the alpha that comes with Nomad. You know, and you just do several strokes on top of each other. It gives the impression of the texture on the top of a pumpkin that's a little rough. It worked out really well on this one. It was really fun, and it's actually, it really doesn't take as much time as you think, and it's pretty, it was actually really quick on here. And it's cool, you know, you see me on the left there, I'm just kind of going up and down on the size, and that gives even more texture as you're coming across. Just kind of bounce size up, bounce size down, and it gives you a little more texture. And just grabbing the move tool, just giving a little more adjustment. And here, I'm pretty much using all the stock alphas. So this is the scratch alpha for the eyebrows. And here I'm just picking a green to kind of give them a little color. This is where I kind of start giving it a little bit of detail all the way through it. And with any sculpt, it's just a little give and take. Do something, don't quite like it, go back. So much easier on this than real clay. Way faster, obviously. I will have to do some more videos on this. I've done a little bit, taken a few sculpts into Procreate and painted. If someone's interested in that, it's actually really good because you have so many more brushes available to you, and it's not like you can't bring your alphas into Nomad from Procreate. You can do that too pretty easily. So I don't know. I mean, there's merits to going in and UV unwrapping and doing it in Procreate, but it would certainly be easier on the insides of all this, like this here. But actually, the painting in here is pretty powerful, actually. You can see here where I started with the purple and put the black over it. That one looked way better than the other eye where I did just black, because it actually was transparent enough that it was coming through. I left it transparent enough. I liked it a lot better, actually. Now, once again, just kind of going through and kind of knocking back some of the green, putting a little more orange back over, just going back and forth, just trying to find something I really liked better. So here I'm just playing with the shading and the PBR, and you can see there if you drag 3 fingers across the screen, you can change where the lights reflect off your object in the scene, which is actually kind of helpful sometimes. Here I'm using the actual scratch alpha again, but I'm using it with a paint this time on the inside, where I was. I'll come back to that. So here I've got the tube tool again, and this one I had back tapped so many times that I had to put a new stem on, and I wanted to change it up a little bit more anyway. So here, using the scratch tool again with the clay brush on sub, it works really well to give it the impression of the texture on the stem, and you just kind of keep messing with it, and then using the inflate tool. And here you can see I didn't really have enough resolution, so I improved it a little bit so I could actually sculpt on it more. Using the move tool, kind of bouncing, pushing it around. And it is really helpful to put something like this on solo instead of having the pumpkin in the way. It just makes it so much easier to move around. I really do use that a lot on here. You can see there I'm kind of tweaking it, putting it where I want it. Now here I'm just going to start pulling out, the bases of the stem into the pumpkin like they would grow in a pumpkin normally. And it took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 tries to get the paint like I wanted on the stem. It's kind of silly. I don't know why I thought painting orange over, or green over orange was going to look right. In the end, I ended up doing, which is kind of odd, I went with a light color and a dark one over instead of dark and a light color on top, but it turned out good. A little bit of brown on there too on the end of the stem. And if you really wanted to paint this really nice, it definitely would take longer than this. I might have spent half an hour on this, just real quick. So here I finally went back to the scratch brush again. And if you look inside there, you can see the seam on the inside of the pumpkin, but that's not really going to matter too much. You'll see it on the sides a little bit when I turn the pumpkin. And it's not something anybody would see probably ever. Even if I printed this in a 3D print, it'd be so small you'd never notice it. Now the one thing on here that I'd forgotten to do, and you'll see me go back and forth with a couple times, is I forgot to change the setting on the paintbrush to be front facing vertex only. So it works on the paintbrush fine. For whatever reason on the masking brushes, like in the earlier videos, it just doesn't work as well. So here it does on the paint actually though, if you just remember to turn it on. So it takes me a second to remember to go in there and go change it. So just a little tweak and cleanups on there. And I didn't light this thing or put it in a scene. This would have been really cool to put it in a dark scene with something inside of it emitting light, but I didn't want to get that nuts with it. I was just trying to get a video out for you guys. So yeah, I thought this would be a really fun project to do. And now that I've laid some groundwork with all the other videos, now I can actually get to more sculpting. So this will be really fun now. I'm really excited about this. So I really want to start pushing into doing the sculpts and then seeing what it takes to translate from sculpting on the iPad and Nomad and then putting it through my 3D printers. And I have an FDM printer and the resin printer. The resin printer is brand new, and I have a couple of videos I have to make for that too, because that one, I've got the unboxing on that one. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and if this helps you out at all, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. All right, thanks.